I'm a Catholic feminist theologian, and Catholic claims about human rights discourse begin with theological anthropology, the understanding of the human person made in the image and likeness of God. In a Catholic theological worldview, there are two important claims that must be held together. The first is the inherent dignity of every human person. The second is the social nature of the person, and therefore the interconnected and interdependent nature of human communities. These claims find scriptural warrants, especially in the teachings of Jesus, and are elaborated upon in documents of the magisterial and theological tradition, including in the documents of Catholic social teachings, or CST. Now, church teaching has developed, and CST today is more global in its approach, focusing, for example, on opposition to torture and on climate change and anti-poverty campaigns as essential in the fight for human rights. Two documents from the Second Vatican Council are listed on this slide and provide textual evidence of the Catholic Church's commitment to human rights and religious freedom. Both of these documents were issued in 1965. Gaudium et Spes reads, "Therefore, there must be made available to all men everything necessary for leading a life truly human, such as food, clothing, and shelter, the right to choose a state of life freely and to found a family, the right to education, to employment, to a good reputation, to respect, to appropriate information, to activity in accord with the upright norm of one's own conscience, to protection of privacy and rightful freedom, even in matters religious," end quote. Religious freedom was solidified in the Vatican Council document Dignitatis Humanae, and I quote from that document. "This Vatican Council declares that the human person has a right to religious freedom. This freedom means that all men are to be immune from coercion on the part of individuals or of social groups and of any human power, such that no one is to be forced to act in a manner contrary to his own beliefs, whether privately or publicly, whether alone or in association with others, within due limits." Now, I also want to say that as a Catholic feminist, there are many unresolved questions regarding human rights from a Catholic feminist perspective. Catholic feminists are asking, are women human? Are women human subjects in the same way that the normative male within the tradition has been considered to have autonomy, power, and self-determination? This is in the news recently because apparently there's a new document coming out addressed to Fratelli Tutti, to which women object, claiming that the title, "To All Brothers," does not include women. In Catholic teaching, the gender binary of male and female persists and is seen as divinely ordained and natural. Implications for this are far-reaching. Girls' access to equal education, sexuality education, gender-based violence prevention, women's leadership roles, gender roles in family, church, and society, the role of women in a church in which women cannot be ordained, which some call the stained glass ceiling, women boxed out of seminary training in many places, access to comprehensive reproductive health, equal pay for equal work, even questions such as who speaks for the Catholic Church in the public square, rejection of same-sex marriage, refusal to enable same-sex couples to adopt children, lack of recognition of transgenderism and trans rights as human rights. While many might be familiar with the inclusive and social justice-oriented approach of Pope Francis, you may be less familiar with his critique of gender ideology and the authoritative Catholic teachings on sexuality and the family that lead Catholic teachings to reject same-sex marriage and transgenderism. In the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops have used religious liberty justification to challenge the Affordable Care Act mandate that employers provide contraceptive coverage to their employees. Catholic feminists have asked, whose liberty is threatened in this scenario? In a tradition that affirms the obligation to follow one's conscience, and in a context in which 80% of Catholics in the US, according to Pew data, disagree with official church teaching that contraception is intrinsically evil, why doesn't all-male hierarchy continue to move forward with the claim that it is a violation of religious liberty to require them to provide contraceptive access to their female employees? The USCCB said in their commentary on the Little Sisters of the Poor court case, quote, "The government has no right to force a religious order to cooperate with evil. We hope it brings a close to this episode of government discrimination against people of faith. Yet, considering the efforts we have seen to force compliance with this mandate, we must continue to be vigilant for religious freedom. Now, I think religious discrimination continues to be a problem. The question I'm raising here is this an example of religious discrimination? Catholic feminists instead ask why the consciences of low-wage elder care workers, many of whom are not even Catholic, and the nursing homes run by Little Sisters of the Poor are not given priority. There's suspicion among Catholic feminists that even if women were at the table, that if women were at the table when decisions about religious liberty were being discussed and debated among bishops, the conclusions may very well be different. I'm out of time, but I've included my email address on the slide, and I look forward to further dialogue with all of you. Thank you.